Everyone hold hands.
Teamwork is dreamwork!
You're toast. Go. Higher, hands on fire.
Everybody stand back!
Nice and spicy. See? Time to go. Eat this! Out of the frying pan.
Teamwork is dreamwork!
Hey! I see everything. The Temple of Wisdom.
I'm going in!
Go! Cross over! You're toast! Boba, get! Minute to them.
Teamwork is dreamwork! Let's move!
Hey! I see everything. Nice and spicy. Eat this!
Everybody stand!
Make yourselves at home. See? Time to go.
Burn it down!
Shine down.
Breath from the sky!
Illusion shattered.
Letting brave names echo! Rise with the sun! Light of the blazing sun!
Light this on inside.
Shine down!
Hi.
Inazuma shines eternal!
Hear the echoes of the valley! Burn it down! Pyroclastic surge!
There is no escape!
Letting brave names echo! Light it up! Try and stop me!
Go. Fallen Emma, help.
Torn to oblivion! Shine down!
Let the mountain's veins boil! Burn it down! Light of the blazing sun!
Just like we rehearsed.
Now you shall perish!
Letting brave names echo!
Hi.
Rise with the sun!
Light this on inside.
Illusion shattered!
Bring it! Pyroclastic surge! Strike up! Quiet. Off to the bridge! Let my name echo in song! Game's Fun's over. Gotcha.
A burst of flavor.
Power. Hot.
Let the world collide!
Busted. Here comes the catch.
Goose on the loose. Annihilate.
Power.
Time to shine! Strike a pop!
Quietly now.
A little elusive.
Game's up. Fun's over.
A burst of flavor. All things come to an
Alrighty,
end.
everybody.
Even
Go over
time
here.
itself.
I want to just do words after Stygian assault. So, I mean, just bear with me. So, I didn't feel this. It's ridiculously hard. It's like even my character build is ridiculous. So, I'm gonna explain like concepts about like my team and how I cleared it. So, the first team we see is Hydrotupa Turbine Vortex, which is a really it's a hydro immune boss. It's really all about just doing as much damage as possible while being able to deal with its little minions. So this boss spawns 2 minions, one on each side, and then every once in a while it will do like a little like charge attack. It will stop attacking. It will do like this water attack, and then if you cannot destroy a minion, every minion gets about like say 10% HP. So it's really crucial that you do not let this boss heal. So there's 2 ways to stop him. The easiest way by far is to use Nahida. So you play Nahida because Dendro is very effective against Hydro shields. So if you play Dendro and you play Nahida, Nahida will, after like 2 or 3 ticks, she can pop a shield. So since she can pop the little shield, you don't really have to worry about it. As long as they pop up, you use her little you use her hold skill and you just target those 3, to target the boss and those 2 little buffs. So it's a pretty interesting fight. The second way to do it, which is another way that you see some people do it, is to use a Skirk team. So you go Escoffier and then you go Skirk because freeze auto destroys the shield. So that's the bonus. So how does my team work? So we were playing like a Burgeon comp here. So I should mention that given how the Hydrotopa works, you cannot get a vape, I don't think. So so you cannot get Pyro plus Hydro vape, right? So that you cannot do that. That's not possible. So what you have to do is you play Burgeon if you're playing the way I would play. So you see Nahida, the Hu Tao, Zhongling, and then Bennett. So the entire idea about this is that you want as much pyro application as possible while doing as much damage as possible. So when the boss reaches about like say 50 to 60% max HP, the boss goes into this little charge attack. If you fail to, it will put a shield on itself that is actually a white shield. So it's not an elemental shield. That's a big distinction. It's a white shield based on how much damage you can do to it. The more damage you do to it, the bigger the shield breaks. Pretty much. What you need to do is you need to DPS race this boss. If this boss gets that charge attack off, which you can easily tell because the boss does not lose a chunk of HP when that shield goes away, you will instantly lose a character. It doesn't matter if you're iframes. It doesn't matter if you ult or you burst, right? It will kill you. It doesn't matter. So what you have to do with the way I played it is to do Bennett and then Zhongling and then Hu Tao. And what you're really doing is you're playing Bennett for the attack buffing because remember, Hu Tao, even though she is an HP scaler, she's actually an attack scaler. So she does scale off of attack, right? So this is something that is really important to know. Hu Tao is a pretty good character. You can play Olachino. Olachino arguably is better here than Hu Tao, but it will work. So you play Hu Tao, you play Zhongling, and you play Bennett. Crucially, given how this game set up, you start with 0 energy. So it's pretty important that all your characters have really good ER. So in this case, my Bennett has 238% ER, and then my Zhongling has 244% ER. This is just barely enough to hold out, right? Nahida doesn't really need ER. The ult is nice for the 250 EM if you have 1,000 elemental mastery, but it's not necessary. It's okay, but it's sometimes a big waste of time until the boss just goes down. So, let's look at builds. So, my Nahida build, she has her Sig weapon, of course. Her artifact of choice I chose is her standard set, Deep Woods Memories. I just went EM, attack, and like, HP flat, where I'm just focusing a lot on EM. Of course, you can see I had 1,000 EM. Constellation, no constellations, so you don't need that. Hu Tao. So my Hu Tao is 33,000 HP, 1,000 attack. She has 58% crit rate with almost 300% crit damage. This is like pretty much necessary. You need this much damage. I know it sounds kind of crazy to have. I know it's daunting to have this gear, but this level of difficulty requires this level of gear. So you need this good of gear. Weapon wise, I have her best in slot, which is Sapphire Homa. HP increase, attack bonus, stuff like that. Artifact wise, she is on Crimson Witch of Flames. She, you want as much crit rate and crit damage as possible with some ER. ER is not really good on her. You don't want to ult with her, or you don't want to burst with her, because it's not good. Her burst is only, and on top of that, you're playing Bennett, so you're not going to be really under 50% HP as much to get the damage. That's why you need this much stat. If you're playing Olachino, this character will be a lot easier, because you're not destroyed by the 50% passive that Hu Tao has. In terms of sand, you need HP sand, so you need power damage bonus and crit damage. Of course, you can go crit rate, but you really need more stats. Constellation, I just have a C1. It just makes it so her charges don't consume stamina. This is not a big deal. It's just a quality of life update, so it helps, right? Zhonling, she's on 18k. She's on 1-hit attack with some crit. Crit is not as important for her. It's just nice to have, just more damage, right? Energy recharge is the most important setup. You need ER here. She needs to basically always keep up that ult, because as you see with her constellation, her C6 increases pyro damage bonus, right? And then her C4 increases pyronado increase and all that stuff, right? And then she does more pyro damage, blah blah blah. Pyro res reduction, right? That is really crucial here for Zhonling, because you really want to keep her ult up, because you really want to keep applying pyro damage. You really want to just keep laying in damage as much as possible. You want to boost Hu Tao as much as possible to keep up your damage. If, say for example, you had Sitlali would be better here. You would just play Sitlali instead of Bennett or Zhonling. You get your choice. I would probably say pick her in charge of probably Zhonling, because Zhongling's damage is not as important as Bennett. So Bennett attack boosting into the Hu Tao is pretty busted. So it's pretty good to just play. If you had Sitlali's better. Artifact wise, I play her Severed Fate. That's just my choice, because I love Severed Fate. I just love ER in general. So the more ER I have, the better I feel, right? And as we can see for this game mode, it's pretty important. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but ER is very important. In terms of her gear, you just want ER, you want crit damage attack percent as much as possible. Some EM is fine, and just as much stats as you can throw into it. So you have energy recharge, power damage, and crit rate, right? So just as much stats as you can fit into her as possible. Constellation, as I saw, C6, this should be pretty much required if you're a late game player. You should have Zhonling C6. She's kind of old. She's a very old character. You should have her. Next up, Bennett. Last up for this fight is Bennett. Bennett is very important here. Bennett's entire gimmick here is just to attack buff the Hu Tao. That's all he is here for. If you have, like I said, if you had Sitlali would be better here, because Sitlali has the pyro damage. She's cryo, so she deals with all the little minions, but she also has the pyro shredding, which is more important than Bennett.
Benny's adventure team, assemble!
In terms of stats, you want him to have his attack don't matter in this case, because it's just more damage. He gets an attack buff based on his base attack. So any attack scaling you give on him, it's worthless pretty much. Crit rate and crit damage is just stats. Nice stats to just throw into him just for more damage, because why not? He already has some attack, right? Energy recharge is by far the most important part. You need ER. If he needs to be like at least 200 ER, even if you even want to have a choice, even have a chance to always keep up his burst. His burst is super important to keep up because it gives the attack buff. When it comes to his weapon, I have his best in slot, which is Skyward's Blade, because for the ER, it gains increased crit rate. None of this really matters. It's just the ER and just the really high base attack. You can technically play another weapon. I think Aqua Favonia has more base attack, but I just didn't like that because I just thought this is a waste of a substat. You'd rather just have Eeyore and just take the less attack for less damage. And trust me, 70 more attack is more. It's like what, 100 more attack in the end. That's nothing compared to just having less stats overall, have more damage in them. So overall, it's better. Weapon artifact wise, contrary to popular belief, he has a lot of ER, but he's on Noblesse. Why do you want Noblesse? So Noblesse is really good because he's an attack scaler that also boosts his attack. So he's an attack buffer that also increases attack with Noblesse. So you kind of want Noblesse because it's one of those artifact sets that is just naturally good on any attack scaler, including Hu Tao, even though Hu Tao's base attack is really garbage. It's okay. It's just good to have, right? So pyro damage bonus, crit rate, energy recharge, attack, HP. Okay, that's obvious. But I chose pyro damage bonus, right, over ER, and that's just because I needed him to do more damage, and that's just personal preference. You can put ER here. You can put HP if you really think he's gonna die. Like my Bennett is really squishy. Like sure, but I play kind of risky, so I like the damage over the HP.
Benny's adventure team
Constellation.
assemble!
Well, of course I have a C6. Contrary to popular belief, or like with the joke like a long time ago, C6 is now fine to have. So it's not as bad anymore because a lot of characters nowadays have a infusion, like a elemental infusion, that it cannot be overwritten even by this. So it's just better to have this unlocked now because Hu Tao gains bonuses for the 15% damage bonus. Even though it is saturated because it's Hu Tao, she already had a bunch. It's still just more damage. So like nothing I can say. You never will use this. You're not gonna if you in this instance, you will never use his charge attack. His basically where you hold his scale and he can do this charge thing. You will never use it. It's not good enough in this case. It's too slow, pretty much. And he no longer has an HP restriction and gains additional 20%. Okay, cool. Right. Talent wise, of course, like C6, you know, for the maximum scaling, whatever. Right. He already had maximum attack because this thing doesn't really matter, right? I could be lazy. I'm lazy. I could match him out for more, but I don't want to throw in the match. Okay. Only 11 minutes. Jesus. Like I need I don't know if I'm not gonna speed up. Whatever. Okay. Next team. Okay. Lava Dragon statue. So this one is a heavy punish against Hydro Crabro. So you cannot play Hydro Crabro here. Do not do that. It's insanely crazy because the boss entire gimmick is like the boss has really high resistance. It has 3 stages. The little crab stage, let's say I don't know, like more like a summon stage. Let's say like it does like this little spout thing, and then a down state, and then it cycles through these states all the time. If you have Hydro or Crabbo, if you apply Hydro or Crabbo damage to it, it will decrease the state that bar charge really rapidly. So how do we charge this? So the boss simply has like a little circle in the top here. You will see in the video, or you saw it before. It has a little top, right? This thing charges as you do more pyro damage to it. So what do you have to do? Just bring characters who can do as much pyro damage as possible. In this case, I brought Mavuika, but what you need to do is you need to just rush getting pyro because you really need him to be in the down state to even do damage. So in his first stage, he's like this little crab thing, right? This form, there's nothing you really do about damage. Just rush it out. The second form, he gets 2 instances of major damage when his bar charges halfway and when it fully charges. So when he goes from halfway and then he goes down, he takes a massive amount of damage, which is here. That's a big deal because you just want to. Of course, you're playing already to cycle as faster, right? And of course, if you have Hydro damage, it resets him. What you need to do here is you need to play like kind of like a cycling team. So Raiden Shogun's very good here, and then you want to play like probably a Gelonian if you have Gelonian, or anyone who really can, or like probably another Dendro character. So I was using Tenoi before I used Tolay, and I didn't like him, so I used Tolay more. Only reason why I think Tolay is really good here is because Tolay's energy, you can put Tolay on a somewhat energy recharge build, and you can have her just cycle so fast, she can just keep ulting and keep skilling. That will give you just enough time to She will give you enough time to have the Mavuika off field for a bit. She can switch into a Rhino Zilonian, use Zilonian to reset to get more energy, then you switch to Mavuika to reset her cooldown, and then go back and just cycle back to these characters. Okay, so tips for this fight. The easiest way to do this fight is just to use Mavuika. You have to understand, you have to remember that Mavuika also has an off-field application. So what you need to do is you need to start the fight with Mavuika, run towards him, press your skill, and then swap to Kule. Use the skill, swap to Raiden Shogun. Use Raiden Shogun, use the skill, swap to Zilonian. Use Zilonian, use the skill, use 3 basic attacks in order to get that massive energy pop. Probably swap back to Mavuika because you need to reset that with your ult. So you ult, now you have enough fighting spirit to keep up that pressure. You swap back to Kule, you ult, and you see the cycle continue. You just spam ults as much as possible, and you want to try to keep Mavuika's like what you call it, Night Soul burst. Her Night Soul, which you will see when you see in the little bar. If you pay attention to the fight, you see that Mavuika has this little rainbow, purple, orange, whatever color rainbow. Sure, rainbow pink looking bar. This bar actually tells you how long you have to keep Mavuika off the field before you need to reset her, right? And then when before the boss goes down, when you're on the second phase and the boss is about to go down, you want to cycle back to Raiden Shogun, use her skill, use Kulei's skill, then switch back to Zilonian, and then use her ult as the boss goes down. So as the boss goes down, you're gonna maximize your DPS with Mavuika, because you want your Mavuika to slam on the field, do 300,000 damage, spin around in a circle of a motorbike, and do as much damage in this break phase as possible. This is really important because that pop damage, that massive damage that this boss takes from that 50% mark, is not enough really. They still need you to do as much damage as possible. So, talking about that, how's our characters looking at? Zilonian. So my Zilonian is 3k defense. She has 186% ER. This is about pretty much how much you need. You need 180 to 200%. That is just about how much you need in order to kind of get away with her having ult almost 100% of the time. Because she gets a massive energy cost. Why does she do that? Because I play Favonia's sword. So if you have a main sword, you need more ER. If you play Favonius, you can get away with less ER, but you play it with crit. So that's the difference. If you have her best in slot sword, which I don't remember what her weapon is name, you play her on more ER with no crit, more defense, right? This side you have to play her crit. No, you don't need crit damage, but you need ER. So pretty much this just grants you enough ER to just cycle around and just continue keeping up her burst, while the energy recharge that this gains also feeds into the other two. And of course her burst consumes Night Soul points, so of course it feeds Mavuika. Artifact wise, unsurprisingly, it's Cinder City. Cinder City is the best slot in her because I don't have more than one not long character that isn't support. So I'd rather use Cinder City and then have somebody else have something else. Like somebody say, like if I had another teammate, I'll probably use like they have Noblets instead, right? Because Mavuika is an attached killer. In this case, I didn't use Noblets. I was kind of lazy. I didn't want to reswap my gear. Gear wise, you see I have defense, and I have crit rate here. Crit rate, as I mentioned, I had Favonia's sword, I need a crit rate. Right? You can see I have about 50% crit rate. I would crit about almost guaranteed crit every time I use my 3 basics. So like statistically I should always crit. So which means I get the energy. Constellation, no constellation. It's not necessary. S1 is just good, but I never got it. I didn't think it was important. Talent, max out, of course. Next character, Mavuika. She is the most important character. She's the DPS, she's everything. So what you need her, she has 45% crit rate. Don't worry, this seems kind of low, but remember, I will mention she has a sitting codex, so she actually has 40% more crit rate on top of this. So she has 85 and 220% crit damage, which seems kind of low. She has 4%, but I invested more into attack. That's why her attack is like 2.2k. That's pretty high. Weapon wise, her best in slot, 1000 Blazing Suns. This is pretty important. You need her to have damage. She needs to be the damage dealer of this team. If you don't have enough damage from Mavuika, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. Just do like the lower difficulty. It's fine. Don't worry. Like being fearless or beating the 5th difficulty and the 4th difficulty, they only really give you these feathers. These feathers are not really important. If you just roll gear over time, you can do better. If you just want to reset gear, sure, use the feathers, right? Artifact wise, as I mentioned, Obsidian Codex. Ascending Killis is by far her best in slot because she's a DPS and she's all about doing as much damage. So 50% damage dealt, great. 40% crit rate is insane. So it's just, you know, 40% crit rate, 80 crit value. Since I consider crit value as crit damage, so 80 crit value. That's insane. That's a lot of stats just for free. So you see, that's why I was able to get away with so much less crit rate than any other people, or any other like character. Next character, of course, you go attack percent, power damage, bonus, crit damage. Pretty much same old. Nothing special about this. Constellation. This is kind of funny. My constellation is C3, right? I made a mistake. I meant to get Sitlali, and I rolled on Mavuika's banner by accident, and I got her C3. Very funny, proud of my back. But whatever. When it comes to her constellation, these are not necessary. It just made the fight faster, easier. It allows you to kind of allowed me to get away with like a worse Collet. But if the more constellation you have, if you want to invest in Mavuika, the best constellation is C2. So C1 is really good because it increases her fighting spirit. So contrary, this is a really important thing. When it increases her Night Soul increase to 120, what that actually means is that since her ult requires 200 Night Soul points or 200 fighting spirit, 100 increasing her massive Night Soul point actually makes her ult faster. It's a crazy concept. So she actually, and she also gains fighting spirit 25% more efficiently, which means she also gains 25% of this 120. So what this really means is that as long as you have full Night Soul, and then she uses her skill, she will always ult. She'll guarantee an ult every time. That's just C1. That's insane. C2 is really more important because base attack is really important. Her entire scaling is based on her current attack at the moment she bursts. Since it's based on that, more attack is, you know, more damage, more scaling. So she's like riding Shogun. She has an install. So the more attack you have in the end, the more damage she does. It's crazy. Talent, Mats. She's a DPS, always Mats her. Next character, Collet. So you see my Collet is pretty bad. So my Collet only has 180% recharge, crit rate, it's not really good, the crit damage is not really good, her EM could be better. Like, I just barely invested her, right? The weapon, end of the line. I just decided it was funny. Like, just to have it on her. You probably could, it's probably better if you could probably go on like, probably like any ER artifact that's not end of the line. Like the Fisher Bow is not really good. So maybe like, probably EM. EM is fine, right? Probably like Sacrificial Bow because her skill is pretty long. Stringlet is also pretty good because she's all about her skill and burst damage. Sure. Right, I didn't like Stringlet. I just picked her random because I thought she had better Dendro application than Tidnoi, right? If you say in the past you didn't use Nahida, right, you use Sitlali instead of Nahida, you use Nahida here instead. Nahida is just better at this fight because Nahida has more Dendro popping. When it comes to artifact, as I mentioned, I decided to not change her build because I was being lazy. She's on Deep Wood Memory because I wanted it to be like a sub DPS. This is actually pretty bad. But like, all things considered, it's pretty bad because Dendro Red is garbage. Like, I'm not doing any Dendro damage. I'm doing Pyro damage. So, like, this is pretty bad. If your Mavuika is not C3, the best way to do it is you play Noblesse. So you play Noblesse Supply, you just use her Elemental Burst, because you're going to be cycling so fast. You have a Riding Shogun battery, you have a Sitlali, not Sitlali, you have a Gelonian battery. Use Gelonian and use Sitlali to use Sitlonian and use Riding Shogun to help Collet get her burst up, so you can always keep the attack buff, which also feeds Mavuika, as I mentioned, because she's an attack scaler. Otherwise, Constellation-wise, I have a C4. C6 is just better, right? Just more Dendro damage, sure. Like, increasing Elemental Mastery is really good. And then more Dendro damage, more attack, sure. Like, more damage, cool. I take it, right? And it increases ER, cool. Okay, talent. You see, she's not mats. I'm lazy. Like, I don't want to level her up because I don't have the mats, and I'm out of Primo. I'm out of Bora, so very funny. And then last but not least, Riding Shogun. So Riding Shogun is really important here because she's a battery. So you start the fight with 0 energy, and since you start the fight with 0 energy, you need to spend a little bit of time to get your energy back. Hence, for this team specifically, it's really important that you have a battery. The first team, like Hu Tao, right? It wasn't as important. I had so much ER for these two characters, and Hu Tao didn't need it. It didn't matter. For this team, she needs the burst almost all the time. So, Riding Shogun. What do I have on her? Well, she has pretty high attack. She has not really good crit rate, not really good crit damage. I didn't really build on crit damage. But she has 300% ER. Why do I have 300 ER? I have a 300 ER, so she always has burst off cooldown. So she always had energy regen, which we will mention later. Best weapon, of course, we have Engulfing Lightning. Just increases damage, and then she gains more attack based on her maximum ER, up to I think it's 270% that you need to max it out. This is cool. You're not really bursting with her to do damage, you're bursting her to get energy back. Next. Of course I have her on best of slot. Since I'm playing an energy recharge battery set, you want to play Emblem of Severed Fate, which is the best slot for her. So of course you want to just crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, attack percent, and anything like that. She had ER, attack percent, and then crit damage. Why did go attack percent instead of electro damage bonus? Well, because with her weapon, I think attack percent is better. And that's just because attack percent is just naturally scales better with her scaling with her weapon over electro damage bonus. I also think because she's saturated electro damage bonus anyways, because of her attack. Constellation, no constellation. If you have a C2, nice, like cool. Right. In terms of weapon, like of course she has that, she resolves that. Yeah, she gains a lot of energy, electro damage bonus, so I guess that's why it's kind of overcharged. And this is kind of useless. So, the biggest important here is the skill attribute. She gains resolve stats, cool, right? But here's the big part. When she ults and she base attack, she gains 2.5 energy to everybody. That is insane per second. So it's 2.5 per second. So up to 7 times. So it's a 7-second max. That's like 15 energy. That's crazy. 15 energy with like a 200% ER. That's like 30 energy. That's like half a burst. And then when you consider the fact that Jeloni also had a ER weapon, well, that's basically a full burst. So it's really important you do that. Okay. Last but not least, Battlefield 3, my fastest, and because it's the most premium looking team ever. Okay, number 3, Secret Source Automaton Overseer Device. This is a Cryo Hydro comp. So this is for sure a freeze. So the entire gimmick of this boss is that this boss has really high res, right? When it does its little spin attack. So it will start the fight with its little spin attack. It will keep spinning as long as it has the energy. So basically, it has a little charge on its HP bar that goes up as time goes on. Dealing cryo damage decreases it, right? However, in order to deal, you don't want this bar to go up. Because the further this bar go up, the longer this thing goes. This boss will always attack for like a few seconds. Like I think it's like 10 seconds. It will always spin for at least 10 seconds, but that's fine. You don't want to use that 10 seconds in the beginning, because it does in the beginning, to get all your energy back, right? And just do a little bit of damage. It will have ridiculously high res, so you won't be able to do much damage. But as long as you have cryo damage, it will make it so it won't spin for the longest, right? When the maintain night soul blight, oh that's dumb. Whatever, like we're not gonna account for that. And then when leyline, it does more damage when it loses cryo, sure, right? It will lose less res. Cool. Okay, that's just make it harder to deal with. So how do we deal with this character? Well, obviously play cryo, hydro, play freeze. Freeze is by far the best way to deal with the Source Automaton. And you want a cryo DPS instead of a hydro DPS in this case. So instead of Never Let, you play Skirk, right? Instead of maybe like I don't know Ayato, you play Ayaka, right? So you play cryo DPSs, and naturally you don't want to play cryo DPSs that are not physical based. So don't play Eula, right? Physical is not really good here. Physical is not really good in general, but physical is not really good here. You can probably play Layla. I prefer the damage bonus from Yelan than I play Layla. Or you can if you have Skirk, you can probably consider Dalia, but Dalia is cool. Like he's cool, right? In terms of this character, how do we deal with this? Well, the easiest way is the Skirk premium team. Escoffier, Skirk, Farina, Yelan. Or Yelan here is a flex. You can play I think Shrunhor. You can play Dalia, as I mentioned. You can play Yelan. You can play anyone that is Cryo or Hydro. You can play Layla if you really wanted to. If you really like Layla, you can play Layla. You can play Candace. You can play Barbara. You can play Dionia. It doesn't matter. Just someone here to do that, to give you boosting, right? Probably not Eula. You don't want a DPS. You probably don't want Chi-Chi. You don't need another healer. You just want like you want a support here. Probably shield support, DPS damage boosting support, energy support. So probably Kinsho is fine because Kinsho got if you play Kinsho in Sacrificial Sword, he will probably give you a pretty good amount of energy. So it's fine. But okay, now look at how do we deal with this kid? So like I mentioned, you start with 0 energy. So these 3 characters, Yelan, Farina, Escoffier, they gotta get screwed over because they start with 0 energy. Farina likes to burst, Yelan likes to burst, Escoffier likes to burst, right? So what you have to do is, since the boss starts with a spin attack and it doesn't really do damage, you just use that time to get energy to get your burst ready for when the bot gets out of that spin. That's when you start laying onto them, as we saw. That's why I beat it the fastest, because Skirk is by far the best DPS into this. Attribute wise, Escoffier, you want a little bit ER. This is a pretty low ER, and I have a reason for that, and that's just because of who I paired it with. I will mention it later, but keep this in mind. If you want to play Escoffier without Yelan, you need to increase your ER to like 180 to 200. So I mean, but 168 is because of Yelan, and because Yelan has a little thing that allows me to kind of get away with that. Weapon wise, I have a best in slot, so attack is increased by 20%, stuff like that. This is just attack boosting, so basically it's just a mini Bennett. Cool, right? That's great. She has crit damage. So why is that important? Well, because you build on crit. So you see, I have 78% crit and 158% crit damage. Don't sleep on her crit. She does a lot of damage for support. So she has 2k attack and almost 150% crit damage. That's pretty high. Weapon, of course. Artifact. Her best in slot is Golden Trope, which is the what you call it? It's the Fontaine artifact. The one that Farina also uses. This is really good because she's all about just using the elemental skill, right, and then going off field. That's it. Literally, that's her entire gimmick. So she uses elemental skill, she gets off field. Now you want her to do a little bit of damage. Scaling wise, you want her to have crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. These 3 are the most important, and the ER is probably the 4th stat if you can do it. If you can't, just focus on damage, right? I have an ER sans, I have cryo damage bonus, and the crit rate. Of course, this damage is the most important here. Right, and then energy recharge if you need ER, or you can go attack percent if you don't have it. So you see, I do have an attack percent sans here. I just don't have enough ER per se. Okay. Constellation, no constellation. Any of the constellations nice. Like this is a really good constellation since we're playing 4 hydro cryo. Right. This is really good because it buffs Skirk. But sure. Talent wise, master her talent. Don't mind this level 11. This level 11 is only happening because she's on a team with Skirk, and because Skirk buffs elemental skill by level 1. So don't mind that. She's level 10 instead. Skirk, the DPS of this team, probably one of my favorite characters to play because she's very fun. Scaling wise, you want as much attack as possible on her, and crit rate and crit damage. She has a pretty good high crit rate for a character for her base scaling, so crit rate is not as important, but crit damage is. So, and then of course she has cryo damage bonus, right? Blah blah blah, stuff like that. Weapon wise, I won the 75-25 for me, and I lost the 50-50. So that means I don't have a weapon. So I use primarily Jade Cutter, which is a fine weapon. Why do I use Jade Cutter? Well, Jade Cutter has 44.1% crit rate. That's the only reason I use it. And also has some attack scaling based on HP. So she's just tankier. She has more attack. She has crit rate, which is 44% crit rate. Is insane. She only has like a base 20% crit rate, I think. So that's just have base like 60% crit rate for free for no effort. That is insane, right? If you have her best in slot, her best in slot's better, right? And then of course I don't really have any other weapon. 4-star weapons, probably like anyone with crit rate is pretty good. Attack percent's fine. Blah blah blah. Like artifact. Her best artifact, of course, is deep sea galleries. The deep galleries. I keep saying deep sea galleries. Deep galleries. Why? Because it's literally built for her. Travel damage bonus. She had no energy as a character. She's an energy unreliant character. She's all about normal attack. She's all about elemental burst damage. This is literally a perfect set made for her. And unless they make another character like this is going to be the best in stock for the foreseeable. This is going to be like the only character who uses this for the foreseeable future. Nobody else is going to use this set because it's so specific. It's so niche that like they had to make another support, another DPS that had no energy. It's a cryo DPS, scales off of attack. or like scale off an HP or attack. Uses only normal attack damage as their main thing, and uses burst damage, not skill. They need to install on this skill. Otherwise, building wise, crit rate, crit damage, attack as much as you can. ER is by far the worst stat on her. Don't put ER. Like this is, I have ER on her because I got unlucky. Best I can do. Right. Travel damage bonus, of course, and then attack percent. Constellation, no constellation is needed. She already does a ton of damage consistently, stuff like that. Talent, master talent. Everything's mapped. Of course, level 11 is because of this one of her talent here, which increases. Not this one. For all Hydro, the Hydro character, if there's at least one Hydro character, your own elemental skill levels increase by 1. Blah blah blah. Like that's why. Her basic is not really important because it will consider when she uses a skill, which she always will, it will consider her as skill damage, a normal attack damage, but it would consider a skill. Hence that's why I call it an install. It acts more like an install, and that's why her basic is not an important level. Her ult is the same thing. It just grants her more damage bonus. Cool. 20% damage bonus. Cool for having 3 stats. That's why when you ult, she has this little she has like the same stamina bar, like the opposite stamina bar, and she has 3 little charms, 3 little ticks on her. You want to ult when she gets 3 ticks. She gains about 1 tick every time you get like the last hit of the ult. So about like 2.5 seconds, which is about the last hit of her basic chain. So once you get 3 ticks, you ult. You get a 20% absorption damage bonus and just keep wailing on the boss. Next up, Farina. Farina is, the best support in the game, hands down. Like, I know people are gonna get really mad at me when I say Farina is the best support, but I still think Farina is the best support in the game by far. Because she just provides so much. She's so universal. She just buffs damage. She takes away your HP. She also has healing, and she's just insanely cute. She's a mascot. She's cute. Like, come on. I can't say it. Okay. And then scaling for build wise, HP, she's an HP scaler, some crit rate, some crit damage is fine, and as much EO as you possibly can throw into her. She wants EO because you need her burst up as much as possible. Weapon wise, I use Fairy Candy Ferryman. Excuse my French, I cannot pronounce French. So Ferryman, the pipe. I call it pipe. So the pipe. It's just good on her, more crit rate, cool, and more ER, good. More ER, great. Artifact wise, as I mentioned, Golden Trope is by far her best in slot. But that's just because her entire gimmick, her entire damage on the field is just elemental skill damage. So she summons these 3 little trope people, and they just hit. That's all her damage. Her ult doesn't really do much damage. Her basic doesn't really do much damage. It's just her basic skill. So you use skill. You build her with attack HP. This set, you play HP or you play ER. If you think you don't have enough ER, you play ER on her. I recommend HP percent because I think I have enough ER, so HP percent is more important to me, just because I just more scaling for her. Of course, you have HP percent on this one. Why HP percent over Hydro damage bonus when I said she's like a sub DPS of some sort? Well, because she gains a lot of bonuses for having more HP, up to I think 32,000 HP. So the more HP you have on her, the better it is. So it's just good to have up to like 32,000, and then you start. And if you have more than that, if you say you took out this goblin, you have more than 32,000, you go higher damage bonus, or you go ER, or you take away, you keep this HP percent, your ER here, right? HP percent just gives more damage because of how she scales. Otherwise, it's just ultimately better, right? And then of course, this is a pretty good stat sign, but I'd rather keep the ER. ER is just that important. And then last one, crit damage. I built it with some crit rate and crit damage and ER, so crit damage is just a really good sub stat. Constellation. So I have a C1. This just makes it so my damage just starts off at a baseline. I think this is a baseline 150. So that's a baseline. It's up to 300. So that's a baseline of 37.5%. So that's a 37.5% baseline bonus damage when I first ult. It goes up to 400%, where it's 25% per 100. So that's so it just means that what this really does is just, oh, that's cool. I have more damage as a start when she bursts, so I don't have to wait for it to ramp up like at the beginning to get some bonuses, right? And I can get her up to 100% damage bonus. It's pretty good. Technically, her C2 is really good. It just makes her stack 10 times faster. So if you have it, good on you. It's just faster, cool. It just makes it so she stacks with fanfare Great. When it comes to her skill, okay, cool, more damage. Like her skill is just more damage with the +1 talent. That's cool, right? Let the people rejoice is the most important part. So she gains 0.25% at max level at level 10. 0.25% damage to conversion ratio. So for every 1% HP you lose, she converts that 1% into 0.25 up to 400 fanfare stats because it's 300 plus 100 because of my C1. So what did this mean for you? That just means you want her to stack as fast as possible. It's not surprising. It's unsurprising. I would say that. And then this is why you want HP on her, because for every 1,000 point of mats, she gains her salon members, her skill will increase but do more damage, right? It would decrease her auto skill. So her first skill is the three members, and then her second skill is it's basically like kind of just like totem that just heals you. You won't really use the totem unless you're in emergency cases because it's a waste of time. You'd rather just do more damage. But in this case, more damage dealt by 0.7, cool, right? Increases more damage. That's just nice. This is more important than hydro damage bonus on her because having more HP double dips into her gimmick. More HP means she burns faster, right? She burns more. Well, she gains more fanfare stacks. Okay, that's good. Right, so it's a double dipping. And then C is my stage. Cool. Like, why? Like, this just decreases the cooldown. Like, okay, cool. Alright, and then of course, she's probably irreplaceable for a Skirk team. She just had this much damage. Well, someone who could be replaced with someone like Shenhua is Yelan. So why did I use Yelan? I use Yelan because of the 30% extra damage bonus she provides, and then crucially, if you remember, as I mentioned for Escoffier, she has 226% EO because I use her as a battery. So that's the spoiler. I use her as a battery. So I have her on a 50% crit rate. You'll see why, and some crit damage, and she has as much HP as I possibly can, as much EO as I possibly can. So here's the magic. I have her on Favonia's Warbell. Remember how I mentioned that the I think it was Zhanling, not Zhanling. It was Zhanling was on Favonia's sword. Yeah, there's also the bow variant. Favonia's Warbell is really good because it just means if you crit with Yelan, which is pretty easy to crit, you gain 6 more energy. Well, what does this energy do? It feeds Farina and feeds Escoffier. That's crazy. That's just battery. And so her skill is pretty easy to hit, and it doesn't take a long time to activate. So it's really cheap on time, and it's really nice. Artifact wise, of course, given how much ER she has and how based on her stats, she's of course on Severed Fate. I just chose more burst damage. Why? Why is this really good on her? Well, because her entire damage comes from burst. So when she bursts, she does more damage and she keeps up the stats. So it's all about doing the damage. And then so ultimately, it's all about the crit damage. Crit damage is good hydro damage bonus, and of course HP. I don't have an EO sans because I have enough EO, right? And I just want to build it with HP and crit. That's just more damage in general, right? I have 103% 103 EM here. That's crazy. What? I never noticed. Okay. Constellation, no constellation. You don't really need any of her constellation. Increasing, gain 1 additional charge. This doesn't matter. You have Favonia's Warbell, that's a 6-second cooldown. What are you gonna do? Activate it twice in a row? That's 6-second waste. That's not gonna happen. And the second one, increases throw, increases damage dealt by max HP. This is not worth it if you just have Farina. Just get Farina, it's better than this. Talents, her skill, cool, more damage, right? 43% max HP, pretty good. Her ult, more damage, right, cool. The biggest point, when the party has 1 or 2, she increases the max HP, but in this case only 12%. This doesn't matter, like, you're not using her for the damage, you're using her for the battery. The biggest point why I use her, oh, actually it's 50%, I thought it was 30. But, okay, so when she ults, she just gains 1%, ramping 3.5 up to 50%. So this 50% only on the last second tick, because it lasts 15 seconds. What does this mean? That just means you can start with a Farina ult, into a Yellow ult, into a Xiaofia ult, into a Skirk ult, and you just absolutely run down the enemy. So that's why you do it. That's why I like her, because 50% more damage bonus I just prefer over like Shenhua, like say Shenhua's Tribal Red Shredding, or like Dahlia's 10% attack speed, 20% attack speed, I think. It's 10 to 15, I think. however much attack speed he gives you, that is not as like important to me as damage bonus, and also because her battery style, right? So anyway, that is my full party, and then I hope you guys enjoy it. And of course, if you guys need anything, please ask me. And then I would say, good luck with the challenge. This is a very hard end game mode. This is much harder than the Abyss, and this is much harder than like even Theater. So don't fret if you can't do this, because at best case, at worst case, you just need to do the second level or the third level, because that's how you get the 450 primos. That's the highest you need to go. Don't stress about not getting the feathers, right? All the feathers really do is reroll your gear. So I will like my last part. I will show you like you can use this to reroll gear, right? Don't worry about this. This is like you can reshape gear. This is not a big deal. Like what are you gonna be? What are you gonna be hoping? You hope that you can get better pieces here after like I don't know 20 reshapes. That's just not. That's a lot. That's hoping for a lot. At least in my opinion. Like it might sound snarky, right? Because I have really good gear, but like I feel like these two are not worth the stress. If you're stressing out because of this, it's not worth it. It's just take your primos and just run. Like primos are more important. Just get more characters. Just have more fun with more characters, right? It's more fun if you have more characters and you're not stressed about getting screwed over all your characters. Anyways, I wish everybody the good luck and. Good luck on the first Stygian assault. I'll see you guys later, and goodbye. Have a good rest of your day.